What's that? I'm not going to use a German accent to introduce the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Caliber Corner number 56. No, I'm just kidding. All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome to Caliber Corner episode number 56. We got a pretty good panel with us today. We got one of the best panels out there. And we're going to go and get started here with a little attendance to see who's joining us over on the gun channel side this morning. We got Paper Plane Crash hanging out with us. We got Patrick over there too. Good morning, guys. Welcome, welcome. I'm sure more will be showing up here in just a minute. Over here, we got a very active chat over on the YouTube side. We've got Sean Newman joining in. We've got Frank Hellman with us. We got Stan. Good morning, Stan. Vanessa Kitty is with us. Ozzy Osbourne is out there. Hootie Hoo in the house. He said that he is about to go feed the deer and check the deer cams. I'll be back. Hootie Hoo, I'll be there in November. Just kidding. E-Rock, what's going on? David Bowling's out there, and David Bowling is with us. And I'm sure we'll have a lot more people joining in. Cadillac Jack is out there. Andrew Peterman's joining in. Guitar Man Pete is in the house. Firefighter 09100. Hello, Air Travis. Oh, yeah, no, let's not go there. Tardot 357. What's up, Tardot? Sounds like you made it to your destination safely, buddy. Marty Huggins is out there. TDR, good morning. Gizzard Gary's out there. Gizzard Gary is here. So, today we got a lot of stuff to talk about, guys. We're going to have an awesome episode. We have a lot of cool information for you. The topics are going to include best budget conceal carry pistol based on our recommendations from our personal experience, okay? Marty Higgins, what's up, buddy? Now, if you want to learn about the pocket pistols, go back and watch episode 55. We had a huge discussion on that. We talked about a lot of different brands and a lot of different options for carry. We're going to focus more on, let's just say, the Glock 19 size pistols, kind of your mid-size pistols and smaller. Tardot says he's in Kentucky right now. That's right, Tardot. Keep going, buddy. Furry Fighter M1991's out there. Howdy, plebes. Good to see you too, sir. We're also going to talk about the 308 pattern rifle, build or buy. Now, these topics are suggestions from viewers from a, I think, 9,000 sub giveaway that we did about a month ago, and or 2 months ago, actually. And so anyway, that's where these topics are coming from. And then we have some extra topics at the end if we have time. So let's go ahead and let the panel introduce themselves. On my left, coming back for the second episode, David Bowling. How you doing, man? I'm
doing good, Travis. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Cool. Welcome, sir. Welcome. All right. Anything we can expect on your channel? What is going on?
I'll probably do a range review on my pistols this weekend. Just some target acquisition, and pretty soon will be coming my 308 AR build.
Cool. And today's topics, I mean, this is tailored just for you, so don't be surprised if I hand some of this off to you for discussion. I've educated myself heavily in the world of the AR-10 or 308 pattern AR rifles this week, and it's a lot to take in. If you guys are interested in the Ruger Security 9, check out David's channel. I know that there's other channels in the Gun Channels family that have reviewed that pistol also. It's an awesome pistol. Check it out. A lot of good information for you. All right. Glad to have you on the show, buddy. Welcome back. All right. Gizzard Gary in the house. What's going on, Gary?
Hey, not a whole lot. Thanks for the invite, sir. Good morning.
Cool. What, anything new coming up on your channel? What can we expect? We check out your channel.
Well, I just realized last night I finally hit 350 subscribers, which means we are go for the 357 subscriber giveaway. I'm going to get that video recorded here in the next couple of days and get that out, and we'll be doing some celebrating.
I'll tell you, everybody on gun channels, their channels are growing. If you follow, Tardot, Gizzard Gary, Night Strike, Sandhills, any of these guys that have shows, there's a lot of giveaways that we have. If you follow them and just enter on those things, and a lot of the times it's just leave a comment on this video and you're entered in the drawing, you got a pretty good chance of winning some good stuff. So, Gary, when do you think you'll have your drawing?
I'll probably get the video up sometime over the weekend. I'm guessing the drawing might be towards the end of next week sometime.
Cool. Yeah, sounds good.
If there's anybody out there that's not subscribed to me, feel free to get on in there. Well,
that's right.
We'll get going.
Everyone wants a tactical rooster on their 6, right?
That's right.
Sweet.
Right. I appreciate everybody that's already subscribed to me. Really appreciate it.
That's awesome, dude. All right. Sandhill Shooter, what's going on, buddy?
Good morning. Thanks for the invite.
Hey, what's new in your world? What can we expect on your channel?
Well, I have huge intentions this Labor Day weekend. I'm heading to work right now, and then of course tonight's kind of a big night for those of us in the Husker Nation. So I'm not going to get to anything probably until Sunday or Monday. But I do have a brand new desk that I need to rearrange some of the home office room. We've got a bedroom that we've turned into an office, and I'm going to have my own desk. I'm going to have my own place to set up my computer and camera and whatnot. And hopefully by the end of this long weekend, I will have my own actual little place to do videos and whatnot.
So you're going to have a man cave. You're not going to have an office. It's an office on your taxes when you write it off, but it's a man cave when it's your space, right?
Yeah, no, the thing is, I'm kind of coming in and usurping some of her space in this office. So I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of both of our stuff hanging up on the walls and whatnot. But
okay, look,
I mean, you're going to see some girly stuff in the background too. But you know, she spends so much time in that office when I'm out in the living room doing, you know, watching TV or watching a YouTube video or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's only one desk in there. There's not a place for two people to sit yet. So we're going to kind of make it to where we can spend some time together, you know, both of us doing the stuff that we enjoy doing on the computers and whatnot. So I'm hoping that'll be up. And then that should coincide pretty well with an idea that we're kicking around. I'm thinking about doing a weekly show or almost every week show after Hit or Miss on Tuesday nights. That's kind of my night to do YouTube stuff. Usually weeknights I'm not available very often. I can't commit to anything anyway, any other night of the week. But thinking that we might do something afterwards. So I am looking for some suggestions for names and topics, and they don't necessarily have to be 2A related.
I think you should call it Sandhills Always a Hit, Never a Miss.
More hits than misses.
The Sandhill Strikes at Night episode, Gun Talk. No, Night Strikes Night.
Sandhill Strikes Back.
Sandhill Strikes Back. STRYKES. Sandhill Strikes Back.
Anyway, if people want to send me suggestions, you can just email me at sandhillshooter@gmail.com. That would be the easiest way for me to compile those. If I end up doing this, I will put out a video on my channel too, and people can leave comments on that as well. But for now, just email them to me. Thanks for letting me be here.
No, man, I appreciate it. This is awesome. It's good to have you. Good to have another fellow Nebraskan back with us. Squibby, what is up, buddy? How you doing, bud? Are you awake today? You got your coffee?
I'm on my second cup. I was up till almost 4 in the morning on Dead Horse's show. It was a pretty good pretty good show.
It's awesome. The evening put it on, man.
Yeah, I mean, when I jumped on, we were talking about reloading, but it ended up going down a rabbit hole into the did we really land on the moon? So it was pretty good.
Oh man,
you never know what you're gonna get.
And ends up with snack cake discussions, and then you want to fight each other at the park by the end of the night. You know, it's no, it's cool. I've watched them. I was watching, and they were talking about spray paints and stuff, and I'm like, what? And then they got into the whole reloading discussion and stuff. So no, good stuff. So Squib, where can we find you? If people want to, you got a channel, you got any content out there? What can we find?
I do have a channel, Squib Load, 2 separate words. I'm the guy with the Josie Wales avatar. There's a couple other Squib Loads out there. My channel doesn't have as much gun content right now as I would like. It's more on the way eventually. Okay. But I put up all kinds of different stuff. I'll be putting up a video I was shooting during last week's Caliber Corner. When you were asking me to reload question and I didn't answer, I had the camera going. Yeah, so Tony jumped in there and answered the question. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate that. You got my back. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, actually, I was shooting another boring train video.
Okay, I gotcha.
So, and then last night when I was on Dead Horse's show, it took me about 3.5 hours to edit a 3.5 or 4.5 minute video, and it's just on a processing a warranty on a tool. So I've got all kinds of different stuff on there, but yeah, you know, I'm tools, gardening, reptiles, trains. On occasions, I've got some auto repair videos that it's going to take me forever to edit, but eventually I get those out there. But I do have some gun stuff, and I will be putting more gun stuff eventually. So
cool. That's good to know, man. Your channel's growing, so guys, definitely check out Squibload's channel, and you'll be sitting good. All right. So thanks for being here, man. Some quick announcements for you. I'm just a couple.
Or don't check it out because the videos are kind of lame.
All right. Hey, it'll get better. It'll get better. I go back and watch my first video from time to time when I want to laugh. So I didn't realize you could hold a phone sideways when you film videos. I thought it was going to make the picture go sideways. So I shot it upright like my first 5 videos until people started screaming at me. Real quick, couple announcements for you here, guys. I'm just a couple subs short of 10,000 subscribers, which means next week we are going to have a giveaway. During an episode of Caliber Corner, I will post a video on the channel. All you got to do is respond to that video. I'll have it posted on gun channels and Gunstreamer and GunTube and all that fun stuff. All you have to do is just leave a comment on the YouTube video about a future suggestion for a topic for Caliber Corner. And I've had so many awesome suggestions that I got enough topics, or I'm going to get enough topics to indefinitely keep doing the show. Now, we are going to be giving away compliments of SS Pond in Lexington, Nebraska. Contact information is going to be in the description box below. A Burris Fastfire 2 Red Dot reflex sight. So we're going to be giving this away next week. This is purely donated from SS Pond, and he just wanted to support the channel. He's happy to see the channel grow. And as you know, guys, the gun reviews that I do, they come out of Stan's private collection, the owner of SS Pond, and they're not shotguns, okay? But because of him, I've been able to bring you guys the cleaning videos and the range tests, good or bad, and you know the tabletop reviews and stuff like that. Without his help, I would have run out of gun material a long time ago. I would have been buying everything, and I'd probably find myself in debt. So SS Pond, thank you for that. So we'll have a 10,000 subscriber giveaway next week. That's going to be coming up. A lot of good stuff on the channel. All right, so let's just get right into it. Okay, so last week we talked about pocket pistols, recommendations for pocket carry, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. We had a lot of good suggestions in that episode. I had a lot of people give me good feedback on that video saying, hey, it was good to get the advice. It was a good suggestion, or I never thought about this pistol or that pistol. So the question that I had from somebody was, can you recommend your top 3 budget-friendly, low-cost concealed carry pistols? Now, they did not give me a price point, so I'm going to start at $350 and go below. $350 and below, average price, retail, or used, which is going to open it up to a lot of guns. It's amazing the number of firearms you can buy for $350 or less now, especially in the pistol world. There's so many good options out there. Now, the person that also went on and said, would you also please explain to me warranty information on your recommendations, which ones have the best triggers, which ones are the most reliable, any finish, wear, fit and finish issues I need to look for, and the cost of magazines. Now, we can handle this. It's not going to be hard. I've got a lot of that information up here ready to go. So I'm just going to kind of run it through, let you guys suggest, make your suggestions. What do you guys think? And then I've got information for you on, because I've carried five or six different concealed carry pistols in the last 4 years. One of them is going to be out because of the price. It was the FN9 Compact, which is like $499 new, maybe $400 used. Also the SD9V now. Okay, so let's just let you guys talk about it. What would be kind of your recommendation for what you think is a good priced budget pistol that you've got experience with? Let's try to stick with guns that you've owned, guns you have experience with. I don't want to go off with something that maybe you've been researching or you've just watched videos on. So, David, let's start off with you. What do you recommend as a concealed carry pistol? Whether you conceal carry or not, what would work based off of what you own or what you shot?
Since we're going to talk about what we have experience with, I'll go with the Security 9. Let me see if I can turn my camera on and see if it shows up.
So Security 9, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically Glock 19 size, more or less, just as kind of the standard for a pattern. Okay, go ahead.
There's what it looks like, and that's in the palm of my hand. And just to give you a quick reference, here's what the SR40 looks like in the palm of my hand. And you can see it's quite a bit bigger. Obviously, I do know 40's different than 9, but you get the idea. And it's really light. The trigger is smooth. It's soft. I paid after taxes with a 3% discount for paying cash. I paid $355 for this, and it came with 2 magazines. And I like it. I like it a lot. The last week I had it carrying it around in my house in a pair of basketball shorts because we were talking about the pocket carry. And as long as you got your shorts tied, it fits in there great. And I could easily see, a waist carry, or, if you're in a state that lets you open carry, it's not heavy at all. The sights are super bright. You can fit a light on the front. It's got the rail.
Standard Picatinny on the front, yeah. Or
so
Picatinny style.
For the price, it's definitely well worth it. I'm a big fan of Ruger, as you can all see. But you can find it cheaper. Even here in Maryland, you can find it cheaper. I don't really buy too much stuff on the internet, so that's why I paid a little bit more for it, because I actually went into a store and just, found the cheapest store around me to get it. And but most different internet sites have it for cheaper. You can get it for right about $300.
Oh, I'm sure Black Friday sales, they'll have deals on them. I guarantee you're going to see it for $2.99 advertised in multiple places. I mean, that's like last year was the Walther Creed. I saw that thing for sale in like 5 or 6 different places for like $2.79, $2.99. I can guarantee you're going to find the Security 9 on sale.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend it. It's real simple to use. It's got, one takedown pin, push the pin out, take it apart. It's ready to go. It's got the internal hammer fire. So not like a 1911, and you can cock it, have it ready to go, and you don't have to worry about the hammer catching anything, because it's got.
You do have mechanical safety. You have a thumb safety also.
Yeah, there's the thumb safety on it. Yeah. So I would highly recommend it. And, a lot of places will let you rent guns. If you don't really feel like jumping into the water with something you're not familiar with, go rent it and check it out. But for the money, I would recommend the Ruger Security 9 for sure.
And again, being it's going to be a carry pistol, that's an awesome point, David. You should really try to rent one, or if your state allows you, borrow one from a friend, or get a hold of one so you can test it before you buy it. Because you might think it feels like the greatest gun in the world, but then you really start to get used to the trigger, or you find you're not comfortable shooting it, or you don't like the recoil on it, or whatever. Granted, for concealed carry, it isn't going to matter when you got to draw on fire, because everything else is going to be so hardwired. You're going to be just, self-defense mode. But I do highly recommend that you rent any of these if you can, and try them before you shoot them. Now, David, did you try that before you shot it? Did you rent one in the range? Did you say you did, or you didn't?
No, I didn't. The range that I go to doesn't have rentals. There are ranges available where you can rent guns, but I got what I call my home range I go to all the time. The funny thing is, when I first got my handgun license, I saw this gun on the internet, like YouTube videos, and I fell in love with it right away. So I went to go buy it, and then I found out, well, you can't buy it because Maryland says you can't. So I had to wait till, I think it was either June or July of 2018 before Maryland said that you could buy it in this state.
Okay.
And I was already so into wanting it. I knew everything about it. I basically had it and just didn't touch it. So the day that it came available in Maryland, I went and got one.
Now, there are some suggestions coming from the chat. Scott P79 is saying the Ruger EC9S, and I believe it's the LCP2 that shares the same trigger group with the Security 9, if I'm not mistaken. The EC9S is that the LCP budget version? Is that what the EC9S is, if I'm not mistaken? I believe so.
Yeah,
I thought so too.
Yeah. That would be that. Yeah, we talked about that one last week also as a good suggestion for pocket carry.
I think the EC9 is it's got fixed rear sights and it only comes with one mag. I think that's the difference. That's about it.
Yeah, lesser. It's almost, I want to say $50 or $75 less, if not more, and it's got more minimal slide finishing on it, like more maybe just larger serrations instead of finer serrations. There's very little. It kind of reminds me of the Ruger 9E versus the SR9. Basically identical pistols with the exception of the finish on the slide and one magazine. So now, David, the trigger, I got to ask you, I fired the SR9, the Srt Compact, the 9E, the SR40. Is this have the type of trigger where there's a little bit of take up and you have a definite wall, and then it breaks? I'm imagining Ruger's trigger on that pistol is no different from the SR9. Is that how it is? It's not like the SD9 VE where it's tight all the way through and it'll tense up and then break, but you don't really know. You don't have that definite wall. Does this have that kind of wall, almost like a Glock style trigger?
Well, it's got the little trigger safety on it. So obviously you got the travel for the trigger safety. And then I'd say we'll go ahead and say 1/16 of an inch, then it hits where the tension comes. And then it's a real solid pull. I wouldn't call it light, and I definitely wouldn't call it heavy, but you're aware of the fact that the trigger's being pulled.
Okay, good. Then, you know when it's going to stop. Just so somebody's kind of in the market, if they're used to that style of trigger, maybe they fire somebody else's Glock and they're in the market for something similar to it. Yeah.
You're not going to be surprised. There's a couple guys at the range on the rifle side that like those think about it triggers. If you think about it, the gun goes off. So you got to be prepared when you stick your finger in that well that as soon as you go near that trigger, it's going off. This isn't like that. When you're pulling the trigger, when the bang is going to come.
Okay.
And it's a real
that's kind of important. Yeah.
it's really smooth. It doesn't have a whole lot of snap to it. So after you pop off the first shot, you're not, oh my gosh, waiting for that bang. It's just a real smooth flick through the whole magazine.
Now, warranty-wise, I'm assuming that what I've heard about Ruger and what I've seen is that they don't really advertise, but it's basically an unlimited warranty. If something happens to it, you just call them and they'll tell you what to do, or you'll send it in. I don't know if they even have a defined warranty. Maybe they warrant it for life against defects if something happens to it. Honestly, I don't really look at warranty information that often unless I'm researching a specific gun for somebody.
Well, when you open, I bought a lot of Ruger stuff. When you open the box, it's got the manual there, and inside the manual, it'll tell you a little bit about warranty, but there's not like a warranty card like you get and fill out and send in.
Yeah,
but
yeah. It's just...
I ask a ton of questions. Like I probably aggravate the people in the chat rooms that I'm in because I'm always asking questions.
Dude, nothing wrong with that. Yeah,
I've called Ruger 50 times and never once have I had a single problem. And I haven't really needed to call them. I'm just calling them to ask questions that I want the answers to, not like I have a problem. And every single time they've stayed on the phone with me for as long as I wanted to, answered all the silly questions I've had. You know, Ruger, the customer service company part is really good.
Yeah.
And one other thing, you know, I always say for the price, this was we'll call it a $300 pistol. Ruger makes some pretty good stuff, you know, so it's not like you're buying a cheap gun, in my opinion. You're buying a good gun for a low price. And I don't work for Ruger. I don't get paid by those. I'm just a fan of the equipment.
They've just been a good, just standard production. They're not super fancy, but they're not El Cheapos. You get good finish inside, you know, like the polished feed ramps. And it's like, well, okay, on my Ruger Ranch rifle, the inside of the chamber is a little rough inside, but I also bought one of the first ones off the production line, and I think they've gotten better. But my action has smoothed out as I put a couple hundred rounds through that rifle. But every other Ruger I've ever had, it just looks like any other gun I've ever bought. I've never noticed anything about it to be and there's no marring on the finish. There's no rough tooling marks on it. I think they're just solid investments. I think they're good guns. Now, some people might not like them because of Ruger's past, whatever. Okay. Some people might not want it because of all the safeties and stuff on it. But a lot of times Ruger does that so they can sell it in other markets and not have to re-engineer the gun. You know, they don't have to go create a new frame with a thumb safety on it so they can sell in Maryland or wherever else, okay, California or whatnot. You know, that's just kind of what they do for their pistols. And if you don't like that, you just don't have to buy that brand. But that's interesting because the Security 9, again, it's another one of those. You might be surprised. You guys, the feel of it in the hand is really comfortable. I mean, you got medium-sized hands. I think it's going to be a good gun for you. Okay, now I want to get this out before I forget. Suggestions coming from the YouTube side. Check out the police trade-ins, LEO trade-ins. For $349 or less, I've seen Glock 22s. I've seen M&P 9s, they're police trade-ins. Understand, if you buy a police trade-in, you may be looking at things like, and it's not expensive, but maybe replacing the guide rod and the spring. Possibly, you know, obviously giving the gun a thorough cleaning. You might have night sights that are no longer functional. You might only get one magazine with the gun. You might not have any warranty coverage for it. Not that it's a big deal for most people, but nothing wrong with LEO trade-ins. That's great. If you want to go that route, go right ahead. I would still recommend you maybe rent an M&P before you shoot one, or rent a Glock 22 before you shoot one. And a lot of those are going to be Gen 3s, which there's nothing wrong with that. So LEO trade-ins, always a solid way to go. You can get those Beretta 92Ss. We've talked about these a dozen times now for $300 or less. One magazine comes with it. You've got a heel magazine detached on the bottom of it. That might be something that annoys people, or the slide mounted safety, but it's an option. It's a sub $300 option, and there's nothing wrong with that too. So I'm mainly trying to focus on new guns, new out the door, but there's nothing wrong with going the LEO route or police trade-ins, milsurp and stuff like that. But we're kind of looking at just new production guns or stuff you can go buy off the store new. Gary, let's move on to you. What do you recommend for a concealed carry pistol for somebody? What would you say? Somebody's in the market for one. They don't have a lot of money. $350 or less, what would you say?
Well, I've got 3 of them that actually own in front of me, so
that makes it easy. And if it's one we talked about last week, no problem, man. What do you want to recommend?
There's going to be some overlap there.
Okay. No, it's all good, man.
And this one's out of production, but you can still find them in the stores. This is the Taurus TCP. You can pick this up usually sub $200, $380. No safety or anything. Pretty much simple. Pull the trigger and go. 6+1. Not a bad little option. I found it to be very reliable. It's the first pistol I ever owned, and I've had real good luck with that. And you're going to notice a trend here because these are all three going to be Tauruses. I mean, I do own some other guns, but they don't fall under the $350 price limit. So we're going to stick with these for now.
Okay.
Second, and this is probably the one I would recommend the most, although this is the old model, but this is the Taurus PT111 G2, which is now the G2C, I believe.
Yeah, G2C and the G2S is the slim version.
Essentially the same gun without the Taurus locking system here. And
some people claim that maybe the frames might be a little bit thicker internally, or the rails might be a little bit thicker internally, but I don't think it matters for parts interchangeability, compatibility, holsters. I think it's been improved, if anything, in my opinion. But no major changes other than cosmetic and that.
If you catch this on sale, you can pick it up for right around $200, maybe a little more. 12 plus 1. It does have a safety, so that does turn off some people, but it's very reliable shooter. And as far as triggers go, I like the trigger on this one. Now
it's a different experience for people. Yeah, go ahead.
You go back to the TCP, that's got a long, heavy trigger on it. It's not going to be for everybody, but part of that is to alleviate the fact it doesn't have a safety and it's a pocket carry, so you kind of want it that way.
Now, before I forget, real quick, David, on those magazines, let's just say if you could get standard capacity, 15, 16 round magazines, are we looking at $25 a magazine, $30 a magazine? Because on my 9E, I got a 2-pack for $45 off Buds. Got them on sale. Are you looking between $30 and $35 for a mag?
Well, I only have the two for the Security 9 that it came with, but for the SR40, even at a gun show out of state, they were $40 a piece for the 15 round.
That was the other question the person asked. What about extra mag costs? We're looking at $40 for that.
Yeah, the Security 9 is probably going to cost you around $30, $35, $40 for extra magazines. Now, problematic for me is living in Maryland. I'm only allowed to purchase 10 round magazines. Now, if I go to Pennsylvania or any free state near me, I can buy any size magazine I want and bring it back and possess it in Maryland. But I can't be in the state and pay for it. No internet company will ship it to me. If you shipped me one, out of your personal collection, that would be illegal.
Okay.
But if I leave the state, I can bring it back.
Yeah, that's nuts. But
they'll cost you about $40 for the extra magazines.
Okay. Now, Gary, on yours, we're talking about the price of that gun. I always see them on sale. Black Friday specials, holiday specials. They were $179 for almost 2 years on the deguns.net website, which is a gun store based in Nebraska. So yeah, $200. I would say never pay more than $250 for one. That's probably even higher than the MSRP. Well, I don't know what the MSRP is on it, but I'd say if you can get between $200 and $225, $230, you should be sitting good.
Yeah, and magazines are pretty easy to find for them.
$27, $26.99. Is that kind of the par for the course on the price?
Yeah, sounds about right. And for those that aren't familiar with that pistol, that is a 9mm.
Okay. There is a 40. You can find the 40s are a little more rare, but it uses everything is, I believe, identical except the mags and the barrel, but I think it uses the same spring guide rod frame, all that. Pretty
much. The last one, and this is for you people who just have to have a revolver. I showed you the Taurus Model 85.
Okay. Now, 357, 38 special. What is that?
This is 38 special.
Okay.
5-shot. And I picked this up. I paid $299 for it, but you can pick them up cheaper than that now. I think they're closer to $250.
Okay. And
it's a pretty solid little revolver, if that's the kind of thing you like.
Yeah. And I mean, the guy was asking about pistols, but again, a good revolver, a solid revolver is always an option. And many times you might like the trigger pull on the revolver better than you do on a double action pistol or single action, whatever, Now
that's got a pretty heavy, heavy double action pull on it. The single action pull is not heavy at all.
Sure.
So
something to consider. Yeah.
If you can get your thumb on that hammer, it does have the hammer. So
now, one thing I want to say about the PT111 G2 trigger, I got nothing against it, but what a lot of people aren't used to when they come from a Glock or an M&P is that PT111's got about, what'd you say, a half inch of just slack. I mean, it's not loosey-goosey, but there's a little bit, and then you hit that tension, and then you hit the brake, but the reset is like a 1/4 inch on it. So they say it's a long, deliberate what a self-defense trigger pull, right? That's what they call it. Like you're going to be thinking about the trigger pull when somebody's trying to come at you with a knife. But anyway, no, I mean, it's not, you can get used to it. It's just a lot of guys complain about it. The other complaint I had here, people say about the PT-111 G2, when you let it out all the way, you know, if you're wearing gloves, you might not be able to catch the reset, or that first pull, you might not be able to get your finger in the trigger guard on the trigger because of the long pull. But rent one, try one before you buy one. I love them. Our family owns multiple. I've owned 3 myself. We've got family that owns them also, several. So it's a good go-to gun. So,
and I have concealed carried all 3 of these at various times.
Okay.
The one during the summertime I go with the most is the TCP, and that's just because of its small size and lightweight. It works really good in a pair of shorts or something like that, whereas the others might be a little too big for your pockets. So,
okay. And now we're talking concealed carry. You've got a wide selection of holsters out there, right? No lack of holsters to choose from.
Right. You sure do. Now,
that is another thing. Yeah.
I tend to opt towards the pocket holster types like the DeSantis Nemesis, or inside the waistband. I generally go with a sticky holster. I know a lot of people would rather have something that clips onto the belt, but the sticky holster to me allows you to put it in about any position you want to, and they don't move around, at least in my experience. So,
okay.
I mean, that's kind of a buyer beware thing. If it's something you don't like, don't buy it, but I like them. So,
yeah. No, I think those are all solid recommendations that are not going to break the bank. Again, this person said budget friendly, low price pistols, revolver. Right. Why not? Cool. All right. So, Sandhills, let's move on to you real quick. What would you recommend for any recommendations you have for a budget price concealed carry pistol? And we can include, you can get the shields now, the original shields, 9mm for less than $350. Sandals might be going to work right now. So he does have a Smith & Wesson shield, if I'm not mistaken. And I've also owned a shield. I was going to talk about that when we get there. So Sandhills, chime in when you get a chance. We'll talk about your experiences. Squibby, what would you recommend for any kind of a carry pistol? What do you think? Concealed, unconcealed? Well, the person said concealed carry. So what do you think, Squib?
So this one's kind of difficult for me. Not as difficult as pocket carry last week.
Oh, yeah.
Me and small guns don't mix. So for concealed carry, I have concealed carried a full-size gun. And some people, that's not conducive to what it's either too big, too heavy, they can't conceal it, they don't like where they have to carry it, that sort of thing. So when you put in there guns that I've had experience with that would be good for compact kind of concealed carry, I can only think of 3. So the first one I'd like to talk about, go back to what Gary was talking about, the PT-111. So the only PT-111 I ever shot was one of yours, Travis.
Yeah.
And I don't want to rehash necessarily what Gary said. He covered it really well, but I want to throw in this. If you're like me and you like big guns, you don't like small guns because they don't fit your hand, they're too snappy or whatever, the PT-111 didn't have that little gun feel. It didn't feel like a Desert Eagle, but it didn't have that, it's going to fall out of my hand, or I can't get a grip on it, or it's just snappy on the wrist. Or I would definitely purchase that, but now that they're out of production, I have to go with the G2C, right?
Yeah, you're not really getting. I mean, a lot of the same colors they made before, the flat dark earth and the OD green, they're the same, and the prices have not changed. I mean, you're still seeing them for $199 basically everywhere. They did not up the price on them either. And that's
I appreciate the fact that you let me shoot it, because otherwise, to this day, I still wouldn't know. And if I was looking for a small concealed carry, I wanted to buy new, I would recommend then the G2C, because that's available. And if it shoots just like the PT-111, I'm definitely in on that. So.
Yeah, here's one thing about the warranty on those. If you buy yourself a PT-111 G2 that was produced before January of 2017, you have a lifetime warranty on that Taurus firearm. Now, Taurus's customer service is a whole separate discussion. I've heard good, I've had bad. I've had Gun Channel's members message me directly after watching Taurus videos saying, hey, it's cool you recommend the gun, great review, but here's my experience with customer service. People waiting 8, 12 weeks for a repair. This is not unheard of. Getting replacement parts. A lot of people go buy their own replacement parts instead of bothering Taurus, because Taurus either doesn't have the parts for whatever reason, or the parts are coming. So I'm going to be critical of Taurus because they've got the money and they've got the resources. They can provide better customer service, in my opinion, especially looking at what Smith produces and Ruger produces. and what they can offer the customer. And Taurus is a huge company outside of the U.S. They market and sell guns. I mean, they've got firearms, and if you go look at their online catalog, their foreign catalog, they've got 2 or 3 times more guns that they offer around the world than what we buy. So they are a huge company, but they need to improve. So understand you're going to get a 1-year warranty. So when you get that G2C or that G2S, you need to take it to the range, put 100, 200, 250 rounds through it the first time. Make sure it has no problems at all. It doesn't have problems with different brands of ammo. It doesn't jam. It cycles properly. Nothing breaks. Okay, you want to make sure it's solid before you decide to start carrying it. And so that's something really, because you've only got a year, and then after that, you're going to be sitting with a paperweight or having to take it to a gunsmith or do the repair yourself. So that's really something you need to take into consideration. All right.
Well, you know, I was kind of turned off by Tauruses for a while because of their price. I figured if they were affordable, then they were junk. And I did the same thing with Rugers for the longest time. I wouldn't buy a Ruger because I'm like, if it's that cheap, it must be crap. And the fact is that both Ruger and Taurus make a good product. They just make it affordable, and they can sell volume. They don't have this attitude like some of these companies where I'm going to sell a $5,000 gun, and I don't care if I sell 5 units a year because not everybody's going to spend that on a gun. You know, Taurus and Ruger, they can sell 100,000 units a year at every man's price and, you know, thumb it in the nose of their competition. So don't always be turned off by the price. But, I mean, then there is a difference between cheap and affordable. Cheap is it's not expensive and it's junk. Affordable is it's not expensive, but it's not junk. So I would call I've only shot 2 Taurus guns, your PT-111 and a Raging Bull, and they both worked. They both ran. So then for my next selection, I would go with the Ruger SR40 Compact, the SR40D. So I bought this gun for a couple of reasons. One, I was gonna go ahead and renew my my concealed pistol license. And I thought maybe I should get something compact. Everybody carries something compact. Maybe I should, you know, even though I was still comfortable carrying a full size. And I said, well, what can I get? And I said, well, I don't own any Rugers. I don't have any plastic guns because it's got a plastic frame. I don't have any with the trigger safety. And I don't have anything in 40 Smith & Wesson. This thing covered all those different demographics. So I was going affirmative action on my gun. And I covered all those bases, and it's a nice gun. It's easy to take down and clean. It's not that heavy. It's compact. If you turned off my 9mm, the 40 cal, it does the job.
Let's talk about magazines for a second. On that gun, you can run the SR40 mags, correct, with a grip, like a little grip filler, a little grip extension. If you have that on the mag, you can run the regular SR40 mags, right? So we're looking at $35 per magazine, maybe $30. Sometimes get them on sale.
And then I think the extension, it just slides over the mag body. I can't remember if I thought I was buying those separately. I thought I was getting the mags.
Yeah.
I get one with the gun. But if I remember correctly, when I bought the mags later, I bought the mags and then the little insert, whatever you want to call it, separately, and because I wanted to have everything all complete and ready to go. I mean, it doesn't click into place, so the magazine upside down is not going to fall off.
Oh yeah. And now what about finding the compact magazine? Is it 12 plus 1, 13 plus 1? Do you know what it is? And you can buy them. They're out there because the guy wanted to know what about magazine prices. Just expect to pay upward, around $35 to $40. Worst case scenario for magazines for any of these guns we're talking about. A lot of them are $25 to $30. I just want to get that information out there if you're in the market for that gun and you want to buy multiple mags because you want to practice with them more or just have them around. Again, one good thing about the PT-111 G2 is for a Taurus, mags are readily available. If you're a PT-809 owner or a Taurus TH owner, a new TH owner, which is the replacement for the 809, they're really hard to get magazines for right now. Even though Mechgar makes them for the TH, there's nothing out there right now. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But so Squib, what about accuracy? How is that gun shoot? Is it comfortable?
That's just it. Because of the grip extension there, I can fit my hand around it. So I never use the smaller mag in it. I don't really care for the gun. It's a little snappy, but it's not uncomfortable snappy. And I don't know, something about it. I did not rent one or try one out before buying it, and I've shot the SR9 full size, and I love that. That's really nice.
Yeah, they are smooth. Yeah, yeah.
I'm wondering if I would like the gun better if it was an SR40C. But my 17-year-old son, he loves it. He can shoot pretty good with it. So I've had a few situations where I've got some guns that I just don't like or I don't shoot well, and if I hand it to somebody else, they just knock it out of the park, and I'm like, okay, it's just me. So I'm going to blame that on me. I mean, the gun runs. I've ran all kinds of different ammo in it. I have not run reloads through it yet, and I haven't shot it in a couple of years, to tell you the truth. It comes with a plastic case, a lock, a standard mag, the extended mag with the insert, and I think that's it. It's got the the shell casing from the one that they fired in the factory and a little note saying that it passed their test. And then I think I bought 2 extended mags and 2 mag afterward. And I think maybe last time I bought spare parts for my SR 1911, I might have thrown some SR 40 parts on there just because I was already paying shipping, because I keep spare parts for all my guns. But I really haven't done anything with that gun. But if you want something that'll you can conceal, it'll definitely conceal.
Oh, you still there?
Yeah, I don't. It just went. Okay. I don't know if my internet was lagging or the third gun I can think of that I have experience with. Once again, this is a little tough for me because I just don't shoot little guns. I've got nothing against them; they're just not me. Is the P64. Now I know that's used. Obviously, it's a milsurp. But I have one. It is small enough that I can put it in my cell phone pouch. It'll do the job if you're looking for small concealed carry. Now the drawback is that it's 9x18. Not going to buy that at Walmart, at least not that I've seen. But if you can find a source for 9x18, like if you've got an Academy Sports near you, or if you just mail order it, or if you reload, you can shoot that 9x18 Makarov all day long. I mean, there's a lot of inexpensive brands like the Monarch, and I'm trying to think of what else. I'm sure PPU makes it.
Herders is carried by Cabela's. Herders brand is usually pretty inexpensive too.
And they've got the Makarov cartridge.
Ooh, that I don't know. That is Russian made. Some of it is Russian made. Some of it's Czech made. That I'm not sure. Okay. I was thinking that they made it. I think I've seen sometimes like they have some. You have to look it up on Cabela's to see if they might not have the caliber in stock, but you can order it. But the PPU,
and they may do a ship to store, so you don't have to pay shipping on that too. I don't know. I haven't ordered. Okay, you've done that with ammo.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but I don't. If you have it, it's usually free shipping site to store. You have to just go pick it up yourself. So.
Yeah, I've done that. I haven't done it with ammo yet, but so if 9x8, if you only want to buy locally, then that may not be the gun for you. The other thing is it's a single stack mag. I think it's got, I want to say like an 8-round capacity. So if you are not the double tap or one shot one kill, if you're to pray and spray, it's not the gun for you. The trigger is a little clunky, but it's not unmanageable, and does not have a slide release. Okay. It does. You have to slingshot it. It does have an external safety, but that I think it came with that originally, but you've got to have that for importation anyhow. The mag base plate does have a little bit of a lip on it, so you can get your thumb around there. I'm not your thumb, your pinky finger around there. But it is a little bit small. The sights are fixed, and there's no, as I don't think anybody's got a night sight option or something aftermarket for that. I think the most aftermarket you could get for is maybe Wolf Springs.
Yeah.
Because some people do change out the springs. They don't like the original Polish springs in there because it's a military police, sidearm type gun. So it's not, but they're about $200.
Yeah, that's why they're important to mention, because a lot of guys might buy them. We talked about the Star, the Star BM Star or whatever, BM9 as a daily carry pistol, because they're sub $300 guns, and P64s, Makarovs, some of your Tokarevs, you're able to get them well under $350.
And for some of that stuff, sourcing parts might not be an easy thing to do, but I found a place that I can get P64 parts, not every single thing, but
kind of wearable
if you look
items,
around,
you can get the parts. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look around, you can get some parts. So,
okay.
But yeah, those are the three that those are only three that I've got any experience with. So,
oh, yeah. You know, let's see, what was it? Okay, now somebody was complaining about the P64 having a really nasty trigger. Yeah, you want to replace the springs on that with the Wolf spring kit on the P64. If you don't want that 15-pound trigger pulse, you're going to drop $10 or $15 in springs, and that will lighten it up. Squib, did you modify yours with the Wolf springs? Did you get those for yours or not? Your P64?
No, I wanted to leave mine stock. I don't have a problem with Wolf springs. I'm considering putting some Wolf springs in one of my Tokarev pistols, but the thing about the Wolf springs is they're not always OEM. Sometimes they've got them where they're the same strength as the stock, and then other times they've got them where they're stronger. And I don't have a problem with that, but I got it because it was Milsurp. So I mean, I've got a Polish military holster for it. I've got a Polish military cartridge belt for it. I wanted it for the Milsurp purposes, so. Okay. I don't want to have a spring that's got more power or whatever. If the thing shoots crappy because that's the way they made them, right? I want it to shoot crappy. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but I didn't get it for conceal carry. I didn't get it for target practice. I got it for Milsurp. So,
sure.
But yeah, I'm not opposed to Wolf at all. Okay. As far as I know, the Tokarev pistol spring kit, they've got one that mimics the OEM, as far as I know. So I was thinking about testing one of those out in one of my Tokarevs, just to see. So
sure. Furry Fighter saying 15 pounds, more like 25 pounds. LOL. I've heard it is a heavy trigger pull. Squib, would you say it's a 25-pound trigger pull? Does it feel like an excess of 15-pound trigger pull in double action?
I mean, I didn't think so.
My God, how could you
clunky.
Like, shoot off that way or something when you're trying to pull the trigger when it's, So think about, yeah.
I didn't think so, but I'm not. It's not sloppy. Like I've had some guns where you pull the trigger and it just falls back, grabs, and then it's the 25-pound pull for a 1/16 of an inch, and then the gun goes off.
Yeah.
And it's like, how am I supposed to keep the gun steady? The P64, I wouldn't say it doesn't quite do that, but it almost does that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, this is another gun where somebody's like, "Hey, can I shoot that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm thinking, "You ain't gonna hit nothing." And he put them all in the bullseye, and they're going, "Okay, it's me. It's definitely me." The guy had never shot a Makarov gun before. He'd never shot a PPK. He'd never shot a P64 because that's in the genre, right? And just first mag, pop, 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 pop.
And then also, Scott was saying that Hornady makes critical defense 9x18. Yeah, you can get that. So you can get a viable, you can make it a budget price concealed carry pistol. Again, I just didn't want to recommend Milsurp because you may have to do some modifications to it. You're at the mercy of the parts that are worn out on it. You might have to source parts for it. Magazines could be an issue. There's just little things that I think would be more convenient buying a newer production gun, in my opinion, something with the warranty, something where you don't have to have that worry about that peace of mind. Not that it's not going to go bang, but, again, you said you bought it because it was Milsurp and not for a concealed carry pistol.
Right, but I will say this though: if I wanted to conceal carry it, I would probably conceal carry it in a little bit of an unorthodox way. So I've got a pouch that I carry on my belt. It's a cell phone pouch. It's got 2 pockets. You can actually carry 2 smartphones in there. At one point, I had a Droid and an iPhone in there, and there's still room for, say, like an ink pen or earbuds. Or sorry about the highway noise.
No, it's all right.
I drive a motorcycle, or I ride a motorcycle, but loud exhaust doesn't do anything for me. I'm not trying to make up for something. Anyhow, so it's a 2 cell phone pouch. My wife calls it a man purse, because it's so big, right?
Yeah, it was more of a.
Now that I don't have the iPhone anymore,
like a man's fanny pack. If you're going to be wearing
it almost is a fanny pack, but you can tell it's for a cell phone.
Squib, don't. I'm just kidding. I got one.
But, Yeah, it's almost a manny pack. But my wife teases me. She calls it my MERS. Eventually, I'm going to do a video review on it. In the pouch, in the second pouch where I used to keep an iPhone, you can fit that P64 in there and zip it up. So if I were to conceal carry this, I would probably carry it in my MERS, and that's what's appealing to me for this gun for concealed carry. I don't have to buy I don't think anybody makes a concealed carry holster for this. You would have to rig something up or put it in your mani pack or something.
Sure,
I don't know.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, so we got a lot. Now, David, real quick, I don't want to go back and backtrack, but you're showing, was that an SR9 or SR40? What did you say you have again?
That was the SR40 in full size.
Yeah. Okay, that I tested one last winter. I absolutely loved it. It was accurate. It was comfortable. The recoil was manageable. It ran. I was running cheap, just brass ammo through it. It ran like a champ. So again, a lot of solid suggestions out there for you. My suggestion would be maybe listen to this, take a few notes, write down what we suggest, go to the range, test those guns if you can, go to the gun store, handle those firearms if you can, and then make your decision maybe based off of information and some trial, maybe some range time with it. But I mean, any of these that we're suggesting, you really can't go wrong. But again, I guess my philosophy about a carry weapon, about a concealed carry weapon, is I don't want any kind of safeties on it at all if I don't have to. And I know, David, you might not have that kind of an option in Maryland. In a lot of states, you don't. So I go for one of these simplest, most basic concealed carry pistols out there that I could get. But anyway, no, that's solid. And so, okay, we covered the warranty. We've talked about the trigger pull. We've talked about kind of the fit and finish. We've talked about magazine prices on all those guns. Want to make sure we cover this topic. So if you're looking at these, are all these factors to take into consideration. And what we're suggesting, all these guns we're suggesting, they do have a plethora, yes, a plethora of magazines out there that you can choose, or not magazines, holsters that you can choose from, concealed carry, outside the waistband, inside the waistband. However you want to carry the gun, you've got a lot of options for holsters, which is good. There's typically going to be a holster, at least something out there for just about every, I'd say, milsurp or just modern production pistol that's out there on the market. eBay always seems to have something that's going to at least work for you. It might not be the best option, but it is going to work for you. One thing about the Taurus guns, it's kind of funky. They were saying, what about fit, finish? My best friend's brother-in-law bought his wife a PT-111 G2 stainless with the black frame, so the two-tone. And they live in a fairly humid part of Texas, and they do have to frequently clean it with some CLP or some REM oil, because that slide will start to oxidize after a while. She first carries the gun, and just the exposure to the heat and humidity causes that Taurus gun, that slide, to oxidize. And I don't know if that's a factory defect or if that's something about it. The Taurus guns, when you get them, they're going to be soaked in oil usually, and they're metal. I've always noticed this with Brazilian-made guns. I've noticed this with my over-under Stover shotgun. Any Taurus I've ever cleaned or taken apart, when you clean off the guns, there's some red that comes off on your patches. And I don't know if it's just the type of steel that they use. It's got higher, stupid thing to say, iron content or some mineral or something in their steel that they make their guns from. So it might seem like there's rust coming off, but I've never had surface rust on any of my Taurus firearms. So that's just something kind of weird about it. If you buy one, don't worry, it's not rust, but you got to get that grease off and you got to get them cleaned up. Now, my suggestions, I've got 5, okay? And a lot of these we've already heard before, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. The PT-111 G2 or the G2C or the G2S, get one of those, but understand you're only going to get a 1-year warranty. Shoot the heck out of it. Make sure it's going to be reliable. That'd be my option for a $200 and below gun, $250 and below gun. Smith & Wesson Shield, any version of the Shield that you can get your hands on. They'll probably be on sale again this year. Last year, I think you could pick one up for like, I could be wrong here, I want to say like maybe $300 or $275. I think PSA had them on sale frequently around Black Friday, maybe Labor Day weekend. The Shield 9mm, awesome gun. I recently tested one. I've owned one for a couple of years and then I sold it. Kind of regret doing that, but you can get into one for under $350 new. I want to say it's like maybe $370 for the Shield 2.0 or whatever they call it, the new version of the Shield. Again, Smith guns, the triggers on them are fine. You might not get that defined wall before they break like you get on your Glock or your Rugers, but you do have the unlimited warranty, which is good. Another Smith & Wesson, now I don't conceal carry it. I do have holsters for it. I've actually competed with it before. The SD9 VE, typically $350 or less. They do go on sale. They've got those in 9mm or 40. I'd recommend either one of those two. I did replace my guide rod on my SD9 VE with a stainless steel model, just because I'm not a big fan of their polymer guide rod, but there's guys that have them that shoot them. Tony, who's with us in these chats, has an SD9 VE, and he's put a ton of rounds through his with a polymer guide rod, never had a problem. Fit and finish on the SD9 VE is awesome. It's basically a clone of the Glock 19, and what I've been told and what I've heard from people is for every SD9 VE that gets sold, Glock actually gets a small percentage of that money because, again, Glock won in court against Smith & Wesson because the SD9 VE was basically a clone of the G19 inside. All the components, the parts, the design, the layout, it was almost a carbon copy of the Glock 19. So SD9 VE, I mean, again, another good gun. Trigger feels a lot different than a Glock, though. Let's see, that's my 3rd recommendation. My 4th one, not to buy, is going to be the Sky CPX2. I've had 3. 3 of them had problems. And one of them was my daily carry gun that basically had failure to function, right? I'm not going to go off on the sky again, but just maybe they're better now. I don't know. I feel bad because every week I rip on Sky for their firearms.
No, they're not.
Okay, thank you. All right, because
they never will be.
All 3 had frame pin problems. 2 of them had magazine issues. One of them required a new slide, a new barrel, a new guide rod to function after 1,000 rounds. Nothing fancy. I don't watch his videos that often. He did the CPX2 test, and I watched it. He had the exact same problems as me. That video is maybe a year or 2 old, and that was, you know, a year after I'd been carrying for 3 years that gun. So you're going to be tempted because you're, oh, it's a carry gun. It's $200. It comes with 2 mags. It's got a lifetime warranty. It's awesome. No, it's not. Okay, the trigger takes some getting used to, and they're just in general not comfortable guns to shoot. You can get used to them. I enjoyed shooting mine when it ran, but the problems I had does not make it worth it. Steer clear. Okay. If you have one in the chat and it's great for you, wonderful, fine. I'm happy for you. Good for you. I mean, maybe you got it lucky. You're lucky and got one, but they need to fix their quality. When they do, I would be more than happy to go back to them. Okay. Let's just say that and just get that out of the way right now. And the only reason why I'm so big on this is because you get those advertisements from Classic Firearms or PSA, and they're selling them for $197. And they come in 12 colors. And your wife and your daughter and your son, they all want one because one kid wants the FDE, the daughter wants the pink, the wife wants the purple. And you buy 3 of these, not knowing what you're really getting yourself into. All right, so that's my little rant on Sky about that, why you should steer clear. For now, they get better, great. I'll go back and buy one. I'm not afraid to try another one once they improve their quality. The last recommendation, and my current carry that's going on 2 years now, is the Car CT9. I love it. It's awesome. The fit and finish is fine. This is one of the least expensive car firearms you can buy. These are $330, $350 or less. I think I paid $317 for this one. Because it's a CT series, they're a little bit cheaper than like the PM series, there's so many different cars that are out there. This is basically the Ruger 9E of the car world. You get 1 magazine with it. It's 8+1. You do have a stainless steel finish slide, polymer frame, no safeties on it at all other than just like the firing pin block and the drop safety, but there's no mechanical safeties on the gun at all. I wanted something simple. I wanted something thin. It's less than 1 inch thick. It does have steel sights on it. It does have kind of a funky single post sight, which takes some getting used to. The trigger is kind of like an SD9 VE. It's just you pull, it'll tense up, and then it's going to break, but there's no definite wall. It takes some time to get used to. You find yourself maybe accidentally double tapping the first couple times you go to the range with it, but the recoil is good. Warranty-wise, you're looking at 5 years from car. I've only had this one for 2, and I've only put maybe 300 or 400 rounds through it tops, maybe 450 in the last 2 years, mainly because I'm rotating through so many other guns when I go to the range. Magazines, you can buy them off eBay, which is kind of nice. You don't have to look around for them that far. You might not find them in the store, but on eBay, I bought a spare mag for $20. They're kind of like a 1911 single stack style, so that's why they're not that expensive. And there are actually some upgrade parts out there for it. If you look around, you can get upgraded sights for it. There might be some spring kits out there for the trigger. You can get different parts for it. So Car CT9 is my recommendation. It's been solid. I know a lot of people don't like the car company because of the origins and the owner and his dad and all that fun stuff, but they've never done anything anti-gun, and what their religious beliefs are, I don't put that in my equation for buying an American-made firearm. Turkish-made guns, now that's a whole different situation. But American-made, no, it's fine. They make a solid pistol, you're going to be fine. Plenty of holsters out there for it, inside the waistband, and so on. But anyway, that would be my recommendation. Be a Car CT9, Taurus PT111 G2, Smith & Wesson Shield, Smith & Wesson SD9 VE. I mean, just for experience, I would say the Shield's probably the best buy overall, but that's just my opinion. But again, we can get into more compact pistols like the Ruger EC9S or the LCP or the LCR. Okay, there's a lot of options out there for you, but that's just my 2 cents on it. And again, with the car, 5-year warranty is all you get. So that's kind of that. So, all right. So that was a pretty good covering of the information. We got everything out there that this person wanted to know. Hopefully you guys got some good ideas for a carry pistol. You guys in the chat, if you're watching this, go back and watch it. Check out the chat. There's probably a billion suggestions going on right now. I know a lot of people like the Walther Creed. You know, I wouldn't buy a Turkish-made pistol, but there are a lot of happy Canik fans out there too. I'm not gonna, you know, if you want to get one, that's your prerogative. That's fine. Yeah, Melvinette says car is solid if you can master the trigger. A couple hundred rounds down the pipe, you will do that. Don't rule out police trade-ins. Nothing wrong with that if you want to go that route. If you want to go, let's see, the Ruger or the SIG P365. He said he would carry it. You know, after watching Max problems with it on Military Arms Channel, I just can't bring myself to buy a P365 yet. Once they get rid of that striker drag issue with the extractions, then I would consider buying a P365. But for right now, I would say no. Now, Gizzard Gary is saying one I would put on the do not recommend list would be the Taurus Spectrum. Now, Gary is a Taurus fan, and he's telling you not to buy a Taurus. He bought one last spring, immediately had light primer strike issues. Many people online reporting similar issues about the Taurus Spectrum. And that's sad because that thing had kind of been in development and production for a couple of years before they released it. And you would think it would be ready to go for the market, but no, not the situation. Jorge Cortez is saying, yeah, Sigmund was almost a Glock clone. Yeah, the fact that Smith lost in court to Glock shows you that they did, copy the Glock design. And again, there's a lot of good information going on in the chat, but I want to go ahead and move us on here to the next topic. So anything you guys want to say about the budget pistols before we get into the AR-10 308 AR pattern rifle discussion? Any final comments at all?
I would say that you could call gun stores near where you live at, and some of them actually have indoor ranges where you can test fire your weapons before you buy them. Obviously, they want serious people to come in. They don't want somebody just spending a day at the range. So they may charge you. I've never done it before, but there are a few stores in Maryland that you can test fire the guns before you buy them.
Yeah. That's definitely a good suggestion. Look at some of your more public ranges or your traditional gun. I know in Dallas, they got a place called the Bullet Trap. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they've got 100 pistols you could rent if you want to. They got everything in stock. Now, real quick about these carry guns, notice I didn't really make a suggestion for the Taurus PT92. Again, a good gun, but it is a bit heavy. With the right outfit, holster setup, you can conceal carry about anything you want. PT92 is a great gun for $375. Sometimes you get them on sale for $350. It's basically a Glock 92 clone, or no, sorry, a Beretta 92 clone. But again, it's not a recommendation because it's above the $350 price point and it's a heavy gun. So, okay, let's move into the world of the AR-10. Now, the question that I had from somebody was, should I build or should I buy my AR-10 or my 308 patterned AR style rifle? Because there's kind of two different areas when it comes to the 308 AR pattern rifle. You've got your Armalite AR-10 series of guns, and you've got your DPMS, which is kind of becoming the standard nomenclature for it, LR-308 pattern lowers, okay? Now, what you got to understand about these AR-308s is that there isn't much of a standard like there is for the AR-15 when it comes to buying parts and lowers. Now, there are proprietary AR-15 lowers and triggers out there, okay? Don't worry about that. Hey, Gary, thanks for joining in, buddy. Appreciate you being with us today. But when it comes to the AR-10, there's less standardization, which means if you want to do a build, you got to be very careful with the parts that you buy, which area you go through, and kind of how you do it. Because you've got the Armalite standard, and then you got the DPMS standard. But then there's PSA, which uses, if I'm not mistaken, the DPMS LR308 lowers, but they use a mix of parts all the way around. And I'll put a few links in this video in the comment section. There's some really good websites that say, okay, you can put this Armalite part in your PSA lower, but you can't use that one. You can put this DPMS part in your lower or upper, but you can't use that one. So, David, I'm going to hand this off to you because you said you did a 308 build. Is that right? An LR 308 build?
No, I'm starting one.
You're starting one. And then, okay, so Patrick over on the gun channel side, if I'm not mistaken, he said timing could be better. I'm in the middle part of an LR 308 build right now, and I'll be definitely taking notes. The problem is now that I've been researching these guns heavily this week, I want one. So I'm kind of thinking, man, this might be the way to go. And I'll kind of talk about prices and stuff for these once David, you tell us your story about where you're at right now or what you want to do, and we'll go from there. Go ahead.
Well, I've already got the AR-15, and I wanted a new rifle. So my friend has got a bolt action 308, so I didn't want another bolt action, so I decided I'd go with the AR model.
Okay.
And when I went to the store yesterday to buy one, I was looking at a bunch of different ones, and the one that I liked the best happened to be a Palmetto, so that's the one that I bought. So most likely what I'll do is just stick with Palmetto all the way through as far as I can.
Okay. What are you looking at for a budget?
Well, my original thought was around $600, but I could probably bump it up to $800 if I had to, because I've got all the time in the world to pay for it. It's not like I have to have it tomorrow or anything like that. So if I spend a couple extra bucks, that's fine.
Okay, so real quick, comment from the chat over here on the YouTube side. Midnight Range is saying, so who's the jerk decided not to standardize parts? Well, it's kind of two things here. Armalite went the route of the M16 instead of the AR-10. They decided to downsize the AR-10 platform to develop the M16, which eventually led to the M4. And so that right there kind of took the AR-10 out of the loop for popularity as the possible next go-to battle rifle for America, right, for the USA. Also, the DPMS, from what I've read in industry notes, I've been researching this. A lot of places that carry your 308 AR pattern rifles, they follow the DPMS standard for parts and design and lowers, because that represents roughly 87% of the lowers, and 308 AR sold in the USA right now, okay, is the DPMS LR308 lower. So that's what you're going to get for the majority of the parts. So that you could say, if they say, oh, it's a DPMS patterned rifle, that's becoming the standard, in my opinion, for an AR308. Now, there's a lot of proprietary 308s out there where it's its own lower, it's its own trigger group. It's not going to be compatible with anything else. You got to go with that company. You got to go with their upper because of the way that they designed the lower. So that's kind of what it is. Okay, yeah, well, roughly 87%. That's literally what it said on the website for parts. A company said, why are you doing the DPMS parts? Why not do more AR parts? Because 87% of the market, according to their numbers, is the DPMS LR308 lower. So David, what kind of complications are you running into on your research on the gun? What have you found, or what have you discovered? Is it confusing or not?
Well, I don't really know that yet, because I literally just started yesterday.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm completely green. I'm gonna figure it out as I go.
All right, and I was too a week ago. I didn't realize there's this much variance in the parts production. I just don't want to see somebody start a build and then buy the wrong trigger pack, or realize that you could use this, but you can't use that takedown pin, or this or that. So just to keep it simple. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, see, and goes back to what I was saying earlier. I'll aggravate people to the ends of the earth with questions. So
dude, I love them. I'm in the business of answering questions, dude.
I will. I mean, you see, I mean, I always ask tons of questions.
No,
so
it's cool.
I'm not too proud to do that. I want to build it right, and I want to build it good. So if I have to wait 6 months because I'm asking 5,000 questions about triggers, that's what I'm going to do. Okay.
All right, so to make it simple, you can spend whatever you want to spend on an AR-10. You could spend as little as, I wrote the price down over here, $499 on PSA for a complete AR-10. Well, I'm sorry, a 308 patterned AR. I'm not going to call it an AR-10 because that's the Armalite design, and PSA actually uses the DPMS standard. Okay, sort of. Now, that doesn't include your FFL transfer fee. That's going to be the upper and the lower. They've got them on sale right now. The question was, should I build or should I buy? I'm just going to say it right now. Just buy. Be done with it. You're not going to save a whole lot of money. Now, if you're somebody that wants to customize your trigger, you might want to do your own build, so you can do that and go with your own type of buffer weight and go with maybe a certain kind of fire selector switch or whatever. If you want to go customization, that's fine. Build your own. This person wanted to do a budget build or budget buy for a 308 AR. So I'm just going to say go ahead and buy the pre-manufactured lower. I don't care what company you go through. You're going to find a lot of differences in the prices. PSA, I was just checking today, you can get a fully built with furniture 308 AR lower for $179, which is maybe $50 more than you're going to spend for an AR-15. So everything's already there. Now you can buy a strip lower for $79.99, but can you get the furniture and can you get the trigger group and everything for an extra $100? Now you might say, well, I got a lot of AR-15 parts laying around. There's some stuff you can use on that lower, and then there's some stuff that you can't. And again, I'll put the links in this video later on, this podcast later on, so you can see what you can bring over from an AR-15 and what you can't. PSA recommends that you specifically go with their PA-10 line of series of parts if you're doing a build, so you don't have to worry about those problems, because there's little things that you start to run into where you can't use those parts. Furniture is compatible, but there's even some differences in how you mount the furniture. Your pistol grip and then your stock and your handguard and so on. But once you start to get into the trigger group, the takedown pins, the springs, the detents, you start to run into some differences. So keep it simple, buy a pre-assembled AR-10 lower, and you're going to be fine, in my opinion. Now, complete gun-wise, like I said, you can spend whatever you want. If you want to go the DPMS route, and I've read good stuff about their 308s. All right, I had a DPMS Oracle AR-15, that was fine. DPMS 308, you're looking at $727 from Buds, delivered, not counting FFL transfer fee, for DPMS 308. If you want an entry-level 308, that's going to be the way to go. So you're going to pay almost $200 more than PSA. Is it better? I don't know. I mean, DPMS kind of engineered the standard that the companies are following now. I'd almost consider going that route because my Oracle was an inexpensive, fine AR-15. It was nothing fancy, but it worked. When it comes to magazines, if you're going to run that DPMS LR308 lower, you want to go with the LR SR standard of mag. Magpul makes magazines that'll work just fine with that type of lower. So make sure you buy the right kind of magazines. I didn't really look much into the Armalite series. I'm assuming they have their own style or standard of magazine that you have to use an Armalite AR-10 magazine. Squib, do you have any knowledge you can share on AR-10s at all? Anything you could say about that? I mean, just from what you've seen on builds and things like that.
So the first thing I'd like to say is the Armalite company that you see out there today is not the Armalite company from the 50s.
Yes, yeah.
The Armalite company from the 50s is gone. Yes. They are dissolved. However,
the name got bought, and the rifles
Eagle Arms bought the rights. Yeah, Eagle Arms bought the rights to the name, and they do make good quality American-made AR platform rifles. They've been around since the late 90s, and they do a really good job. So the fact that companies like DPMS had to almost reverse engineer it, I'm being kind of broad and general on that. And that may be why they've got their own pattern. I don't know that it's necessarily such a proprietary thing like you got to buy our stuff or else. And there are aftermarket providers for those parts. So if you wanted a DPMS parts kit, a lower parts kit, I would recommend you go to a company called Extreme Precision, spelled XTREME, Extreme Precision. They've got stainless steel parts kits for AR-10s and AR-15s. Their AR-10 stuff is DPMS pattern, I believe. They've also got other things. I've bought components from them. And then I do believe they also sell some of the stainless steel components to another company out that way called Armaspec, ARMASPEC. But Extreme Precision does have the DPMS pattern parts kits. Just, your spring, your trigger, your takedown pins, blah, blah, blah. And I do think it's good that Magpul jumped into the magazine market there, because for a while the aftermarket mags for those, even though I don't have an AR-10, I was following the reintroduction of them. I was kind of interested, but my interest sort of went away when I started looking at the cost, especially before Magpul started making mags. And the cool thing about that is too that those mags do fit some other rifles. I believe some of the bolt action rifles will accept those mags as well. I think the Precision, the Ruger Precision, I think does.
Yep.
Yeah. So
and if you go with the Magpul stock, you also get that compatibility with the magazines too on a bolt action. So
I mean, I don't know why they didn't just reverse engineer an M14 mag, but what do I know?
That would be way too easy.
Yeah, because I mean, there's tons of surplus out there. So
yeah.
But for that, I would agree with you to buy the complete rifle, especially if there's a warranty issue. What if you do have issues? You put it together and then you contact the parts manufacturers and they go, well, yeah, you assembled it. There's no warranty, pal. You know what I mean? So I'm not really worried about the lower receiver cracking or something like. I'm not that, but as far as any components or something going wrong with the upper. They may not honor any sort of warranty, but if you buy a complete rifle, it'll have a warranty. Just do your research ahead of time to find out how long that warranty is. Another thing is, if I was going to get an AR-10, which I'm not in the market for one, but if I was going to I would get the Brownells. I'd get their retro line, which is reverse engineered, almost identical, original 1950s Armalite AR-10 with the charging handle. Inside the carry handle and the old brown furniture and the waffles type magazines and all the stuff. This would be just like the same reason I got the P64 for the historic, nostalgic, blah, blah, blah reason.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not looking at this as a maybe a more precision type rifle, a hunting rifle or target shooting rifle, you just want an AR-10 to have an AR-10. I know they're a little bit pricey, but the Brownells retro line, they can't copy some of these older AR-10 and AR-15 rifles identically, but they get them pretty dang close.
Yeah, they get pretty close. Yeah. So there's some solid advice there. Sean Ponnery said, you know, one thing you could do is just go get yourself a Scar 17S and be done with it. Yeah, but we're trying to help somebody who wants a budget build. The other thing I was reminded by Patrick over on Gun Channels is don't forget to mention the height of the uppers. And this is something I'm going to go ahead and just screen share for you guys real quick. So, all right, so real quick, you can get a DPMS upper and it will work with a PSA AR-10 lower or a PSA LR-308 or 308 AR pattern lower. It will bolt up and work just fine. And again, and that's another thing. When you do the builds for the upper, there's a lot of variance in the uppers also. So you got to be careful. But understand, if you go PSA and DPMS, you got interchangeability between the upper and the lower. Now, if DPMS ever comes out with like a Gen 3 model or a modified Gen 2, there's a chance the upper is not going to match. So if you're going to get a lower, try to get the upper that's the same brand that's compatible with it. If you're going to cross brands, that's fine, but know what you're doing before you pull the trigger and buy that part and then possibly have to return it because it doesn't fit or it's a different style or whatever. So the whole point behind this is that there's a lot of variables that you run into when you get into the build. Now, Patrick wanted me to remind you guys that we've got the differences in the upper. There is actually a difference in the upper receiver. So it says there's another common question. DPMS receivers are most commonly available in 2 heights. There are technically 3, but the third is relatively uncommon and is referred to as a slick side or high-rise receiver and is awkwardly high. The common 2 are aptly named high and low profile. So you got a high-profile upper, you've got a low-profile upper. If you go with the high-profile upper, I believe it's going to cause problems if you're trying to use front iron sights. Patrick, quote me if I'm wrong on that. If you go with the low-profile upper and want to put a carry handle on that AR or flip-up rear sight, you're going to have less trouble. And what it is the thickness of the rail or the thickness, the tab above the charging handle. And again, this is stuff I just learned about literally last night looking into the upper. So again, it adds another wrench in the equation. So it's probably best to stick with the same brand or make it easy. Just buy yourself a complete rifle altogether and just not worry about it. That might be the way that you want to go also, just so that way it's not even a question or a concern. But if you're going to do a build, you really need to do your research, because I don't want to see somebody drop $1,000 on a bunch of incompatible parts and then have to turn around and return everything. So, man, the chat's just going crazy over there right now. Buffer tube cutout. Yeah, there's some differences with buffer tubes. Yeah.
With the build on any AR platform, all the build is going to do is allow you to customize it out the box. If you buy a complete rifle and then after a while you go, you know, I don't like the handguards, or you know, I don't like the sights, or I don't like the stock, or whatever it is, you're going to change that stuff out anyhow. It's kind of like buying a Glock brand new. Everybody throws away all the stock stuff and puts on all their stuff, and then they put the Glock Perfection sticker on the back of their truck, and it wasn't perfect out of the box. So with the build, there are times where you can assemble your own AR-15 and save money. For example, my first AR-15 I got during the assault weapons ban. I got a pre-ban lower, and I traded 3 SKS rifles valued at about $275 for a parts kit. So I assembled my AR-15 for about $425 back when they were $1,200. And in the late 90s, $1,200 for an AR-15 was crazy, because they used to be about $400 or $500 for the longest time. And then they put that assault weapons ban in there, and the availability didn't go away. There were still there were so many pre-ban lowers. It was, you know, and you could get all the parts, and you know, and back then they didn't have mag pull, and you know, the carbine stock that was the cool one only had 3 positions. 4 later in the 90s. So there wasn't the availability of random parts. So if you were going to do an assembly, you were probably still going to assemble it to mil spec, but you could technically get a parts kit and get a lower receiver and assemble one for less than $1,200. Nowadays, with them being so affordable, they're just so available. Doing an assembly now is about customizing out of the box, right out of the get-go, as opposed to, you know, I bought it complete, but I don't like this, and you're going to change, you know what I mean? So you really need to look at the reasoning why you're doing an assembly versus buying one complete.
Pre-assembled. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Hooligan says, is this hangout always in the AM? My first time, so just curious. Hooligan, I've been watching your videos, bud. Yeah, we do. We start at 8 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays, but you can always check the video on gunchannels.com or on YouTube afterwards. It's just in my feed on the subscription list. So welcome, Hooligan. I was watching some of Hooligan's videos on the Ruger American Ranch Rifle. He did an ammo test on it that really had me interested. So Sean Newman says, why the hell would they make two different uppers with a 1/16 difference? That seems really dumb. I don't know. It's like I said, there's no real set of rules that most of these manufacturers try to follow. But then again, look at your AR-15 where you've got a high profile and a low profile front gas block. Like if you get a DPMS Oracle, that lower front gas block's going to have trouble using a standard flip up iron sight that would work on a standard high front gas block. So there's going to be variance in any field. Now there was a comment made earlier that any AR-10 build, any 308 AR pattern build is not going to be budget friendly. It's not going to be low cost. No, you can get into one for $500, and that's what if you consider that budget friendly. I do, because the next step up is $700, and then $1,100, and then $1,200. So I would say $499 is about as good as you're going to get right now. Not that you couldn't catch a sale or get a good deal. Now that's going to be for buying the upper and the lower.
If you want,
yeah.
If you want a 308 AR platform that's affordable, get a 300 blackout. Honestly. Okay, a lot of people hear 300 blackout and they instantly think suppressor, and that's not necessarily the case. They have subsonic and supersonic ammunition for this, and the reload data shows subsonic and supersonic. You can reach out pretty far range with a 300 blackout if you use a supersonic load. And if you want to run a suppressor later, or you're only shooting 100 yards or less, the subsonic's just fine too. It really is. But a 300 blackout, the uppers are more affordable. The lower is complete AR-15 lower, so that's interchangeable. So really, if you've already got a 220 or 5.56 lower, you just throw a 300 blackout upper on there, and boom, you're ready to go. Uses the same mags, uses the same bolt carrier. Everything's the same except the barrel, really.
But let's talk terminal ballistics here. Are we going to be looking at a longer range and more stable flight and a more powerful delivery upon impact if you go 308?
308 is going to be your really good. Hold on, more bikes.
That's fine. So no, and that's fine, and that would be.
You know, I like motorcycles. I like motorcycles, but I had to pick the house that is on the stretch of the highway where everybody likes to speed because there's no lights out there. Anyhow, yeah. I didn't think about that when I got the house, but anyhow, okay. So yes, the 308 Winchester will perform better at long range or for terminal ballistics than a 300 AAC blackout. If you're looking for a reach out and touch someone precision, 308 is your way to go with pretty much anything. It doesn't even have to be an AR platform for a bolt action or whatever. That's not to say that other calibers like 30-06 don't work or whatnot. But depending on how far this guy plans on shooting on a regular basis, if he's trying to get a 30 caliber or the 308 Winchester bullet is the same bullet in a 300 blackout as the same bullet in a 30-06 Springfield. Okay, it's the same bullet. The case is different. The powder charges are different, that sort of thing. But the bullet is the same 308 bullet. When I'm talking as a reloader. So if you're looking at something that's got more punch, it's going to have more punch than a 5.56 223. But now a 308 or a 5.56 223 is probably going to be more accurate, especially at distance. But it's not to say a 300 blackout supersonic cannot reach out there. It can.
Oh, yeah. With modern ammunition, there's really nothing you can't accomplish. You know, when you think about it, if you want to spend the money and develop the own load or buy a good, match grade load, you're going to get those results.
So if he does more research and he goes, man, this is just out of my budget range, but I still want a 30 cal AR, especially if you are in 5.56, just look at the cost of a 300 blackout upper, and that's it. You use your same bolt, use your same mags. So it's just food for thought. If it's definitely 308 Winchester or nothing, then I understand. But just be ready for the reality of the cost. There are ways to save money, but you're only going to save so much. I still agree with Travis. You go buy the complete rifle.
Yeah. 20, what is it, $10 for 20 rounds on PPU, just kind of plain Jane, 308 Winchester ammo.
Yeah, and they run.
Not the best price that I've seen, but that's still, it's still pretty expensive. So again, hopefully we answered the question for the person. What should you do? Do your research if you're going to build. My recommendation is to just buy one pre-assembled. And again, with PSA, if you buy the two parts separate and go through the process, put it together yourself when you get home, literally pin the upper to the lower, you're done, you're ready to go. That's going to be cheaper versus buying one of their complete rifles. What I've heard and what I've seen, like on Mr. Guns and Gear, he mentions that PSA rifles cost a little bit more when you buy the pre-assembled gun and have it delivered because they have to pay some sort of a surcharge or a fee. I don't know if it's to the government or whoever for selling a complete
excise
tax on a complete AR rifle. So that's why they're 50 or 75 bucks more for the complete gun versus buying the identical rifle, 2 separate parts. Now, again, we say $500, but then don't forget, you got to buy mag, you got to buy ammo, you need some sort of sights or a scope or a red dot on top, which you can really go the budget route. But man, I would just say do it the right way, get some better gear for it. If you want to get yourself some sort of a bipod or a mount for it for target shooting and stuff. I mean, you're looking at more of an investment. But the person said, hey, recommendation, should I buy, should I build? I'm going to say buy, but David, you said you're doing a build, right? You're doing a build on the lower?
Yeah, I just bought my lower yesterday, and Maryland usually costs more than most other states, and especially for firearm stuff. And then the store that I went to is the most local store. It's right next to where I work at, and they're the most expensive place. So just for the lower, it's a metal all black lower, Palmetto. It was 145 bucks. So you know,
if you ordered it online, if you could have got it delivered, it would have been 80. But then you still have to pay probably sales tax. You have to pay a transfer fee. Who knows what other costs are going to be added on there.
I like to handle stuff, so I prefer going into a store to purchase my stuff. But
and you're shopping locally, high prices or not, you're still supporting the local economy, which is always a good thing,
And when I shop the internet, like I'll look for prices on the internet, and then once I do, like you said, I add the shipping fee, I add the FFL cost. It's going to be the same price for me to walk out the store with it in my own hands.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
With this, I'm probably going to actually end up buying stuff off the internet because I want to stick with the Palmetto, and I'd rather just get the stuff that works together.
Okay. Cool. And I'll talk to you after the show. I might have some AR furniture I can send to you if you just want to go. Well, were you going to go anything fancy? Did you have anything in mind that you wanted to go with for furniture? Were you going to go Magpul, or do you really care?
I don't really care right now. Okay. Basically, when I see it, I'll like it and buy it. That's how I purchase my stuff. I'm not really picky, and even though Ruger's my icon, I'm not like brand loyal. Yeah. I see something that I like, and then I buy it. And I don't modify my stuff aside from putting a new scope on or something like that. But I'm not changing the handle. Yeah. If I want something different, I'll just go buy that gun already. Like my AR, everybody wants me to add this and add this and add it. No, I bought it the way I wanted it. And if I want that other stuff, I'll go buy it. And that's why I'm doing this, is because like Squib was saying, I want this to be my gun, my customized gun I built with my own 2 hands.
Okay.
I think you're going to have a lot of fun doing that. I've put together a couple of these already, and I've tried to customize them for whatever purpose, for whoever it was. And I got to say that nowadays, with the variety of parts out there, and even though the AR-10 platform isn't as well supported as the AR-15, it's still, every year, it's more and more and more. It's a lot of fun making it yours. You can call this mine. You might go out to the range, and there might be some other AR platform rifles, but none of them are going to look just like yours. None of them are going to shoot just like yours. And if you don't like something on it, yank that part, toss it in your parts box, and get something else and drop it in there, and it's yours. So that's one of the great things about this platform. For anybody who's trying to get into the AR platform and they're kind of on the fence about it because it's a scary black rifle, or what do I need one of those for, or whatnot. If you want to, if you like kit cars, if you like tinkering, if you like just stuff, it's for an affordable price, maybe not so much with AR-10, but more so with AR-15.
Yeah.
You can customize this thing right from the get-go, and when you go out there, every time you pull the trigger, you put it together. I mean, and depending on how far you want to go, if you want to just get a complete upper because you don't want to get the tools and deal with having to do the headspace and all that, you can get the complete upper. But if you want to buy it completely stripped and you want to put it all together just like a gunsmith, you can. And it's a great thing about this platform.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking to do. I want to do every bit of it by myself. And if I can, I'll be really quick about this, Travis.
Dude, I'm in no hurry at all. Go ahead.
Warning to any Maryland residents, and I don't know what other states are like, but just to give you a heads up, if you're getting ready to get into an AR build, and this might be confusing to people who don't live in Maryland, but I'll do my best to help everybody understand. In Maryland, you need an HQL, a handgun qualification license, to purchase a handgun. And that means you have to go on the internet and get an authorization code and a PIN number to go to the store with or online or your FFL or whatever. When you buy an AR-15 lower, you have to fill out all, you don't need that license to buy it, but you have to fill out all that paperwork. So it goes directly into the state police of Maryland as well as the federal background check. With the AR-10 lower, it's just your instant background check. So just to let anybody in Maryland that's getting ready to do a build or considering it, know that when you walk into the store or go on the internet, AR-15 and AR-10 are completely different according to the state of Maryland.
It's because there's not an AR-10 pistol, but there's an AR-15 pistol. It's the same thing. If I go out of state and I want to buy a lower, and it's a 223 5.56 lower, because you can build it into a pistol, they won't sell it to me. But if I buy the complete rifle, they'll sell it to me.
Right.
But I can have that lower shipped here. I was just looking at some in Nevada a week ago, and he's like, "Yeah, I can sell you these. I can't sell you these, or I can sell you these, but I got to ship them back to Michigan." And it's like, what? I had the same problem. I was at a gun show, and they had a Ruger 5.56 lower. They want $150 for it. I'm like, dude, I can drive less than an hour south of here, across the Indiana border, and there's a Rural King, and they got them for $70 all day long. And he says they won't let you bring them back. They won't sell as soon as they see your Michigan driver's license, because you can turn it into a pistol. It's like, I could take any long gun, chop the barrel off, chop the stock off, and I could buy an old Mauser. I could buy a Remington 700 and turn it into a pistol. So it's like, don't argue with them. They're just following the law. These guys with these FFLs don't want to get in trouble with the ATF. You don't want to get in trouble with the ATF. It's a stupid law. I'm going to say that right here. It is an absolutely stupid law, because you can pretty much chop anything up and turn it into a pistol. Yeah. So it's their whole intent thing, air quotes, intent.
One thing I want to say, and this is just kind of a side note. Now, the one thing that was really cool, and I experienced this for the first time when I was building this one behind me, that lower, I had a stripped lower, and I started with it. I installed the trigger kit and the buffer spring and the buffer weight. I got done building it. It was cool. I didn't save anything building it versus buying it. I could have bought this exact same lower with the same furniture on it for the exact same price that I paid for all the parts and everything to do it. But I wanted the experience of actually building one. Okay. When I got done and took it to the range and fired it for the first time, and I was like, this is cool. I built this. I put this together. It was just kind of a cool feeling, and Squib, you probably experienced that when you put those lowers together. It's like, it works. It runs well. I did this. It was like Legos, man. Like you finish that castle when you're 6 years old. You finish building that castle. It's kind of sense of personal accomplishment. I know it sounds kind of lame, but
no. It
was weird.
You get the same thing.
It was like because
I
bought a million lowers, that have been assembled, but the first time we put it together, it was like, hey, this is cool, man. This thing actually runs,
Yeah, you get the same feeling with reloading, especially if you work up a special load. If you're not just making plinking ammo, you're making maybe something a little bit more precision for target or for hunting or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're going out there and you're scoring decent hits on the target and whatnot, and you're there saying, I made this. So when you've got your AR-15 that you assembled, shooting ammunition that you reloaded, you get the double effect. So.
Yeah, so David, you're going to experience that. You're going to put it, you're not even going to realize it until you get to the range and fire, and you're like, man, this thing is sweet. And already I'm thinking, okay, I built this, and I'm thinking, I want to maybe put a cooler trigger in this thing. Maybe I want to put like a match grade trigger or some sort of a target grade trigger, maybe drop a Geisley in there, You start playing around with, like, I could make this better. I did this, I don't know. It's just, you got to experience it to know,
Too, the fact that you assembled all the components inside of the lower, and whether or not you did the upper, it kind of.
I did not. I want to. That'll be next on the list, but I have not. I just buy the complete uppers. But yeah.
Yeah, I've always got the complete uppers. Eventually, I would like to put my own upper together. It's low on the old bucket list. But when you do all that stuff and you really get your hands in there and you see how it all works, after a while you get to go, oh, okay, this is how it works. If you have any issues and you've got to do a repair, you kind of know where to go and what to do already. Or if you do decide to upgrade it, it's nothing to swap it out because you already put it in and you kind of know what to expect. What tools do I need? Where is it a potential to scratch the finish? What little piece falls out? You might even say, okay, when I order parts next, I'm going to order a couple extra of these because I dropped a few of these and had to search all over for them, and maybe I want to keep some spare parts. Or there's just little things you pick up. And when I did my first one, it was before there was YouTube. I used a military armorer's manual and no armorer's tools to assemble. And don't get me wrong, we cleaned them in the Marine Corps and stuff, and I did repair guns, but I'd never repaired an M16. So when you break it down to field strip and clean it, you're not taking the trigger out and garbage like that, right?
Yeah.
So following a manual that I bought at the gun show with some channel locks and a brass hammer and a pin punch and a little bit of cussing. Yeah, I did scratch the lower a little bit, but you don't even need YouTube to do it. The fact that there's information out there, there's videos out there, it does make it a lot easier. But after you build the first one, you're like, oh, that's it? Yep, that's it.
I could probably do it in 15 minutes now the second time through. The first time I'm like, gotta get the pin in and gotta push it down and get the punches and,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you do stuff like when you put the castle nut on the buffer tube with a pair of channel locks, you'll be going, you know what? Next time I'm buying an armorer's wrench.
That's
there's
a lot of stuff. In my opinion, there's a fair amount of, not really fair, but there's tools you got to buy that'll make life a lot easier, especially those pin punches and regular punches and the ball peen hammer and the armorer's wrench and all that stuff. So you got to take that into consideration. That's the other thing too. If you go with the 308 lower and you're going to build it, you may have to buy more specialized tools, or you won't be able to use that armorer's wrench from your M4 on your 308 lower build. It's because the castle nut's going to be a different diameter. So there's things that you could run into. Also, just the tools you have. You're going to have to get a different block for the lower receiver to put it in a vise, because your M4 block is not going to work, your assembly block. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of little other things to take into consideration. But again, not to birdwalk off the topic, but I wanted to say, since we're talking about builds, and David, you're gearing up to do this, you could get into a situation like that where it's like, oh man, this is pretty sweet. You really do enjoy it, and then maybe you want to start modifying the gun at all, or you said you don't like to modify, but you might want to maybe swap a few parts out, and
this build I'm totally okay with. Like Squib and you were saying earlier, pull the trigger for 100 rounds and then put a new trigger in. That's different. This one, it would be like my Mr. Potato AR. So if I want to switch it up and do a bunch of different stuff, that's going to be fine.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Last topic, and this one was another viewer request. I don't have this in the title bar, but hopefully the person's watching us to ask the question. Holster mount in the car. Should you have a holstered firearm in your vehicle? All right. Let's just say, for road trip's sake, you're going from point A to point B. The gun's going to come out with you when you get to point B. It's going to be secured. You're going to take it in with you. However you do that. Let's assume it's not your primary carry. Let's assume it's not your concealed carry gun. I guess it could be. Would you guys ever think about having a holster mounted in your vehicle to put a firearm? Because there's a lot of options out there now. I know Never Enough Ammo Matt has one in his truck with his PT-809. He showed that off in his videos before. You have a lot of companies now that are making vehicle holster mounts. There's companies that have magnets where you can stick the gun right underneath your steering column. What do you guys think about that? If you could, would you, or do you? What do you guys think about that? I can here in Nebraska, but I don't.
Well, I know here in Maryland, cars get stolen a lot. Like, there's a lot of auto theft around here. So okay. I would recommend, if you're going to have a holster for your actual vehicle, make it invisible, but easy enough to access. Yeah. I kind of would think, thinking about an automobile crash, the glove box or the center console would probably be the best place if you're not going to have it on your person. So obviously, wherever you put it, make sure it's secure if you get into an accident, and make sure it's not visible from the outside of the car, because around here it's going to get taken, plain and simple.
Yeah. The one problem I run into with the holster in the car thing is I would travel with the gun in the car. Here in Nebraska, and David, you don't have to believe me, but you can ask anybody from here. People go to the gas stations in the mornings. They run in sometimes into the store. Their vehicle's running and it's unlocked and they have the keys in the ignition. When you go to my morning gas station where people go get their lotto tickets and their donuts and coffee, they'll pull up in their $55,000 Tahoe and it's running, and they go in there for 2 or 3 minutes. There's a whole line of pickup trucks in the morning in the gas station that I go to, just running. I mean, I'm surprised we don't have a car theft problem in this state, because people do that. They just let them run. I mean, do you not get that back in your neck of the woods?
It happens all the time. And it's a funny story. Back years ago when I was younger, I was at a gas station getting gas, and a friend of mine pulled up to what was a payphone. They don't really around anymore. Yeah. She stopped her car at the payphone and ran, I'd say, 20, 30 yards into the store to get cigarettes or candy or whatever she was getting. I don't know. And the few seconds she was in the store, boom, her car was gone. There was somebody sitting right across in the next parking lot waiting for somebody. And I noticed the guy while I was getting gassed. I noticed a creepy guy over in the corner, so I got a real good look at what he was wearing, and a good look at his face, and I knew something was going on. And as soon as she got out of her car, bam, he took it and was gone. Probably about 5 minutes later, the cops caught him because we had a pretty good description, and
Yeah.
most criminals aren't that smart. But yeah, it happens everywhere all the time. It's illegal. Uh, Cops will say something to you about it. I've never known anybody to get a ticket over it. But if
Oh,
you
you
pull
could
up
get
to
a ticket if your
7-Eleven
vehicle's running
in
on an
Maryland,
unattended
it's illegal.
vehicle.
Yeah,
Oh
you
God,
can't do
no.
that. Yeah,
They'd
no.
make a
Well,
mint off our residents here in this state.
like I said, I mean, you can look on the internet on the news. Maryland,
Yeah,
lots of auto theft. A
yeah.
lot of auto theft.
Oh man. Now the point behind this is if you're somebody that does that, are you going to be responsible enough to have a holster mounted firearm in your vehicle? If you do that morning coffee, somebody might be walking by looking for a purse, looking for a wallet. Ooh, gun, boom, gone. So maybe the holster thing.
Well,
If you're going to do it, be careful. If you're going to do it, make sure it's within the law. Make sure that you're not going to lose that pistol, that expensive gun or whatever.
you can't be
Yeah.
complacent either.
Yeah.
All the guys and people on these channels always make it quite clear. If you're going to carry in public, you've got to be responsible. You have to understand that you've got a gun.
Mhm.
It's a serious thing.
Yeah.
And if you're a serious gun owner and a serious carrier, you're not going to get out of your running car with your gun in your car. You're not going to do
Yeah.
that. Now, if you've locked your car and you've taken every possible step and somebody still steals your car, well, you've done everything that you could to prevent that,
Oh
and
yeah.
you just
Yeah.
got beat. But if you get out of your car and it's running and the keys are in it and your loaded weapons in there, maybe you should reconsider carrying in public.
Yeah, that's something that so it's a holster in a car. Sure, do it. Make sure maybe you get something that's got some sort of locking mechanism if you have an accident or roll, that gun doesn't go flying in your vehicle. Be careful with it if you're going to do it. Yeah, there's a lot of options. Also understand you might be permanently modifying your vehicle by installing one of those things. You might be drilling into the console. And say if you have a leased vehicle, you might not want to go that route. Make sure you know what you're drilling into so you don't drill into some part of the gear shift, like any of the components or parts underneath that center console, or no wiring behind it. Make sure you know what you're going to do if you're going to mount that. I would do it. I just don't, because my concealed carry pistol is usually on me. And the guns that I have set up here in the house are set up for home defense, the pistols. I'd have to take that light off every time I take it out to the vehicle, or grab different mags. So, if your concealed carry gun is something you want to have in a holster to have quicker access to it, more power to you. Your state allows it, you can do it responsibly. Make sure that you follow the rules. Make sure that you're very careful with your pistol and do it. So, yeah,
One other
definitely.
thing that you might want to be considerate of.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's state by state, if it's a federal thing or whatever, but you can't have any modified compartments in your vehicle. Like if you have a hidden glove box, that's against the law. You can't do that. So, like you were saying, you'd have to hook the holster to the existing part of the vehicle. You can't make a secret compartment in your vehicle. You may be able to get permits for that kind of stuff, but John Q.
Yeah.
Public, if you've got a secret hidden compartment in your vehicle and the police find that, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. All right. So a lot of funny comments going on over on the YouTube side. So that's what I got for topics for today. Those of you that asked those questions about the budget carry pistols, I hope we gave you some solid options. Again, we are always open to, we didn't really discuss buying the Glock trade-in or buying the Smith & Wesson trade-in. Those are fantastic pistols. Go that route if you want to go that route. Know what you're getting into. Okay, we've talked about the single mags. We talked about maybe the lack of a warranty, or, you're going to be buying a used gun that might have a lot of wear and tear on it, or not. Or just go the route of a new production gun. Okay, we also talked about building versus buying a budget 308 pattern AR rifle. What do you want to do for the lowers? Be careful, do your research, do your homework, try to stick with the same brand. Call the company if you're not sure. Is this parts kit going to be compatible with this lower, or is this trigger group? What does it need? What do I not have? Know what you get yourself into on that. Holster carry, do it the right way if you're going to do it. That's pretty much about it. So I do want to thank everybody else that was in the chat earlier. Gizzard Gary was with us earlier. Sandhill Shooter was with us earlier. Thanks for joining in, buddy. Anybody else that was with us today, thank you so much. So we'll go and close out. David, any final words you want to say before we go ahead and call it?
Just thanks for having me, Travis. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys and be a part of this. And everybody go check out my channel. I appreciate the subs, but what I like better is the feedback in the comment section.
That's
so
cool. Yeah, so
please
check out, what's
the
name of your channel? What is your channel called?
It's David Bowling. I've got the Ruger icon. It's BOWLING, and that's just my name.
There are a couple. Yeah, let's see. I think there's one other David Bowling that's out there, isn't there? There's somebody's got AIDS at David's Vlogs and Gaming. That's not you, right?
No, it's just plain old David David Bowling, and like I said, look for the Ruger icon.
So, guys, I'm going to put a link to his channel right here in the chat. I want you to go subscribe right now. And then, David, are you also on gunchannels.com?
Yeah, I'm also on Gun Channels. It's under David Bowling as well.
You better say yes. No, I'm just messing.
I'm on GunTube as well.
Cool.
GunTube.org.
Yep.
Full disclosure, I don't really know how to operate GunTube.org yet all that well. I'm still learning, but I plan on putting my AR build on Gun Channels because I don't want to get kicked off YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of an iffy thing. You don't want to get a strike because somebody thought when you put that front handguard on that you were modifying the gun and manufacturing the gun, even though the gun's already been made and it's already registered and sold. But anyway, ignorance, not our fault. Do check out guntube.org. Very important. Gunchannels.com. Get over there, sign up. G Webbs is doing, the owner of guntube.org, the founder, has got some really cool auctions going on over on YouTube right now to raise some funds. He's got a massive tour he's going to be doing of the USA, checking out different gun stores and museums and ranges and stuff like that. So it's going to be cool. Squibby, any final words, man? Any parting words before we call it and start our weekend?
On Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, Budget Guns and Gear Review does a show. It's called Right of the People.
Cool. Yeah.
So sometimes it's every other week, depending on his schedule, but it's a pretty good show. And we talk about recent news events and just a lot of 2A stuff. So check that out. Budget Guns and Gear Review.
Awesome. Good stuff, guys. I want you guys all to have a fun and safe Labor Day weekend. Last reminder, 10,000 subscriber giveaway next Saturday on Caliber Corner. I don't know what the topic's going to be. It's usually about halfway through the week that I decide what the topics are going to be. We're going to give away again a Burris Fastfire 2 red dot reflex sight for your pistol. If you don't have one, it's a good excuse to go buy another one. And then again, this is courtesy of SS Pawn in Lexington, Nebraska. Contact info is down below. Contact SS Pawn if you're interested. They will take care of your firearms needs. Again, Stan's been a longtime supporter of the channel. Good guy. And one thing I want to let you guys know, if you do order from him, if you're not a Nebraska resident, there's going to have to be shipping involved in the firearm. And you may be looking at an FFL fee back at your neck of the woods when you buy the gun. So just keep that in mind. If you want to buy, he's got great prices. I shop there because he's $75 to $100 less than Cabela's on about every gun that he sells. And again, it supports the local economy. It's local. I don't have a lot of stores to buy guns for in my town. I've got SS Pawn and I've got Walmart, and I can go through other FFLs if I want to, but there's no other gun stores in town. So I try to support the little guy when I can. So anyway, that's it, guys. I want y'all to have a great Labor Day weekend. Let's just go and close it out with our final taking of attendance to see who joined us today. So over on the YouTube side, Jorge Cortez was with us, Sketchy Roll, Philo, Stephen Dawkins was with us, Andrew Faulkner, Two Live Moo in the house, Scott P79, Midnight Range TM. Who else was on here? You guys had a really good discussion going on. Sean Newman, Sean Ponnery, Fine 1393, Scott P79 again. Man, I'm sure I'm going to miss people. Stan was here from SS Pond. Thank you, Stan, for joining in today. And some people were here earlier. Hootie Hoo did join in for a little bit. The Hooligan was with us. Thanks for joining in. Do check out his channel too. Furry Fighter M1991. Thank you for joining in, buddy. I appreciate it. Anybody that was new on the chat, thank you so much. We had an interesting person show up earlier that was all about sharing the love, apparently. So you might see that in the chat over there. I'm not liable for whatever shows up on her channel. Just want to get that out right now. And then over on the gun channel side, we had Paper Plane Crash with us, and Patrick was with us, and Ozzy Osbourne was with us. Tony's probably out hunting squirrels right now, so that's probably what he was doing. And Patrick, thank you for contributing and letting us know about all this fun stuff. You guys go back and check out the chat on the gun channel side. There's great information over there about that 308 AR build that Patrick is doing. Do check it out, okay? Otherwise, guys, that's it. This has been Caliber Corner episode number 56. I want you guys to relax for a little while, start your Labor Day weekend, go out, go do some shooting, start browsing the Cabela's fall catalog for the hunting supplies coming up here for this fall's hunts. And guys, I want you to have fun. I want you to be safe. We will talk to you next Saturday, and we'll have that giveaway. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.